So find a comfortable seat. You might be in Sukhasana, Virasana. And if for any reason that a seat is not comfortable this morning or this evening, you can lie on your back. Let's just begin honoring the pausing. So, solstice, if you read the newsletter that I sent out yesterday, the lat comes from the Latin word that means sun still. So we'll pause for just a few breaths, round of breath, maybe 10 rounds of breath. So feel your connection to the earth through your legs or your back. Really settle your bones into the earth. And rest your hands on your thighs. Just notice if your elbows, if your hands are too far forward, could you just slide your hands back so that your elbows are at least lined up with your side body, if not behind. And draw your navel up and in, and your low back in. Shoulder blades down and in slightly, and the tops of your shoulders soft. And bring your earlobes back. So earlobes are over shoulders. And now soften your hands. Feel your hands from the inside out. Bring your awareness to each fingertip. Keep coming back to your hands and inviting softness into your hands. Eyelids are soft, eyes soft. And then just offering some gratitude for the warmth and the light that the sun provides. And for your own being, the warmth and the light that you provide. You can blink your eyes open, softly lift your gaze. We'll come to hands and knees first. Even though this is a posture and a shape movement we do a lot, take your time to place your hands on the mat with your fingers spread wide and roll your weight to the outside of your hands and then through the metacarpal arch and then to the inside of your hands. So hands underneath shoulders, and we'll come back to some of this hand placement, but then just a few cat-cows here. Feeling into your spine. And you could extend this out over the sides of your mat, moving in a circular motion as you continue making the cat-cow shapes. If you're circling around, take it in the other direction. And then from here, let's just transition down to our backs. Hopefully you can see me okay if you need to, but with your body stretched out long or knees bent if you need to, just bring your hands alongside your body, palms down. And we'll do a little shoulder scrubbing. So you'll just reach your one hand down towards the same hip so that shoulder blade sort of descends and in towards your spine, and then release and then reach the opposite hand down. So it's the same thing we do with our hips quite a bit, the pelvis, and of course we're going to work in the shoulder girdle for a couple of days with the arms and the hands and the shoulders and the pelvis. We're kind of doing the same movements, the same actions. So scrubbing shoulders, reaching. And one shoulder will sort of hike up as the other shoulder reaches or hikes down, slides down. Then just come back to neutral. And now bring your arms above your head or above your chest, palms together. And then move your hands in one direction and let the hands slide apart. So you'll move to the left and the left hand will slide. Right hand will slide as you move to the right. And if you can, keep your elbows straight here. And now do the same thing, but don't let the hands slide. So keep the palms are together. And as you keep the elbows straight, if possible, as you move back and forth a few times. And then right in the center, back to the center, reach the right palm up and slide the hands back together. Reach the left palm up, slide hands back together. Just a couple times on each side, sliding one hand way up past the other, and then back to center. And once you've done, I'll say 3 or 4 on each side, rest your arms back down to the floor, bend your knees, take the soles of your feet to the floor, and just allow your knees to move back and forth softly a few times. Nothing to do with your arms at the moment, just releasing any tension in your low back. And then stack knees and circle. Stack knees over hips and circle through your knees. Great. Now, wrap your right leg over your left leg. And you can set the feet down for a minute. Bring the hands back above your chest, palms together. And then bring your knees over your hips and draw your knees to the right. So the right leg is on top. Draw your knees to the right and your arms to the left without letting the hands separate. So the hands stay right, nice and even, fingertips even. And then you'll come back to center and you'll go in the same direction about 4 times. So we're not going back and forth here, but knees to the right and hands to the left. If possible, elbows stay straight. Great. And then you can release your hands, release the clasp in your legs. Again, back and forth a few times. Just releasing any tension in your legs, with the back and forth with the knees, right? And then we'll do the other side. So now it'll be left leg over right and hands together. Knees are stacked over your hips and arms, like your hands are like the beak of a bird, right? Pointing up towards the ceiling. Knees to the left and hands to the right. Maybe this side feels a little different. Come back to center. Knees to the left, hands to the right. See if you can keep the elbows straight. Couple more times. Good. And back to center. Release your hands down to the ground, palms up, soles of the feet to the floor. And again, softly windshield wiper the knees. Really feel the support of the floor all the way through this action. So you feel your low back making contact, your pelvis. And then come back to center and bring your arms alongside your body, palms down, press into your feet, lift your hips and draw your arms behind you. Do a couple of rolling bridges here, cascading bridge, and then just pull everything back down. So just on your own rhythm here, warming up your spine. You don't have to lift the hips very high. It's just really a spinal undulation. It's getting some movement space in our spine. Great. And then from here, you can roll to one side or cross your ankles or grab your mat and come up to a seat. And in your seat, either in Virasana or Sukhasana, we'll come to a seat and we'll take each one hand at a time and let's just open up. You're going to open up one palm with the opposite hand, and then one finger at a time. And your thumb. And then the other palm. So this is our hand palmar fascia, just like the plantar fascia in our foot. And we want that to be nice and open. So as we age, not only do our feet sort of contract and get tight, but our hands do as well. Open up the thumb. And then interlace your fingers and move in some figure eights. Particularly challenging for us if we garden and then go the other direction. For me, that's usually quite a bit slower because it's not my natural way. Great. And then just shake your hands out here and then go for the opposite grip of your fingers, opposite interlacing. Press your palms towards me. See if you can keep all of your fingers interlaced. And then allow your shoulders to come down and in as you draw your arms up. Now, if your biceps are lined up with your ears, great. If you don't have quite that space in your shoulders, your arms might be forward. And leave the back of the neck has length here. So really feel your sit bones grounded. Draw your low ribs in, but lengthen through your sides of your body. Okay, now from this position, press the thumb side up stronger than the pinky side. So thumb side going a little bit faster, a little bit stronger than the pinky side, and you will guaranteed feel this. Keep low ribs in, navel up and in, thumb side really reaching for the ceiling. And you're probably starting to fatigue a little bit, so we'll just release down, shake out your hands. Bring your fingertips to your shoulders and make some circles. Both directions. And then just a hug. And the other direction. Release. Interlace your fingers again. And if you went for the natural way, that's fine. That's probably the opposite side. Press the palms of your hands towards me so you can keep the pinkies laced up. And then stretch your arms up. Now, if this cannot happen in your shoulders, you can separate your hands and just go for the stretch there. And then the thumb side is going to go a little bit faster than the pinky side. Woo. Thumb side. So one of the things we've been talking about in our class, my training, is that most of us are tight in the inner line of the arm, so the bicep, and weak in the outer line, the tricep. And I was like, that describes me pretty much. All right, release. So we're tight in the inner line. This is the inner line. You could just stroke the inner line of your arm. So up in here, lots of lymph, right? And we're weak in the outer line, in triceps, especially for seems to be for us women. The anatomy just is such that we don't have as much muscle mass, but we really want to balance that out. Okay, we're going to come into a twist now. So just bring your left hand to the right thigh. If you need a block behind you, that's fine. We'll just twist a bit here. Just come into an easy sitting twist. So working to balance that out. So if we're tight in the inner line of the arm, then we're likely tight in the shoulders as well. Release and come twisting to the other side. And then we have some, come back to center. We get, we're not able to do like some of the hand balancing postures. And it might not be all for that reason, could be impacting in the wrist and such, but we'll keep working with this over some time. So let's come back to standing on our knees or sitting on our heels. And again, we're going to find the hand position. So if you can, separate your fingers and have the middle finger is lined up with the long edge of your mat. So it's parallel with the long edge of your mat. And then we'll bring the weight to, so just like our feet, our hands have four corners. So we've got behind the index finger, pinky finger, and the two edges of the heel of the hand. So bring your weight into the metacarpal arch. So right behind the fingers, right, that arch. And then roll back onto the heels of your hands. And then forward and backward. So feeling, and then outside edges of your hands, inside edges of your hands, outside edges, inside edges. Great. And then see if you can find a balanced outer edge of heel of hand, inner edge of heel of hand, and index finger, pinky finger. And then press your hands into the floor. Draw your shoulder blades down and in. So you really have this strong Tadasana arms. And then turn toes under and press hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then drop back down to your knees. And now take the outer edge of your mat, grab it so fingers are underneath the mat, thumbs on top. So all the weight is in the inner edge, the thumb side of your hand, essentially. Feel that. Turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. Okay, so hands are really weighted on the inner edge. Can you roll your triceps down towards the floor? So that's an external rotation. Roll your triceps down towards the floor. If you need to do something with your legs, you can pedal through the feet. Great, then come back down to your knees, rest back down, hips back to heels, shake out your arms, roll through your hands, shake everything out. Great, now find that hand position again, hands underneath shoulders, and just like when we were grabbing the edge of the mat, can you get more weight onto the inner edge of your hand, the thumb side of your hand. So the thumb side of the hand where the large bone in the forearm, the radius, that's what we want to weight bear on. Now see if you can pick up your pinky finger. Pick up your pinky finger. Great. And then if you've got it up or you're imagining it up, let it rest back down. Press into thumb, index finger, middle finger. Turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. Great. And from here, come forward into High Dandasana. And then press back. Move back and forth a few times. In, moving from downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Savasana, forward into the High Dandasana, plank pose. Next time you come forward, just drop your knees to the floor and lower yourself down, 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 down. Draw your legs long, bring your hands beside your body, and sweep your arms up and off your body. So the palms pressing up towards the ceiling. Just take a tiny lift here, pressing the tops of your feet into the floor, lifting head and shoulders. Then bending through your elbows, bring your hands to your low ribs in relatively the same good pressure inside of the hands, and press yourself up through table and back to downward facing dog. We do that a couple times. So coming forward to high plank, dropping the knees or not, lowering all the way to the floor. Forehead to the floor, bring your hands, palms up, lift your hands, squeeze shoulder blades together, lift your head and shoulders. Tops of the feet can be on the floor or lifted. Then bend your elbows, bring your hands beside your low ribs, press yourself up through table and back to downward facing dog. If you've migrated on your mat, come back to the center of your mat. Let's go 2 more times with that little sequence. So coming forward to high plank, lowering the knees or not, coming all the way down. Hands slide back, tops of the hands, back of the hands to the floor. Lift into locust. Bend through your elbows, bring your hands beside your low ribs, press up, table, back. Weight on the inside of the hands. Last one. Coming forward, lowering, locust. Bend your elbows, press through table. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Roll your triceps down towards the floor and keep the weight on the inside of your hands. And then knees to the floor and hips back on heels. Shake the hands out. Do whatever you need to here. And then we're going to come forward again to table, but now we're going to bring the hands in opposite position with the fingers back towards us as much as possible and elbows straight. So really stretching the inside of the forearm, inner line of the forearm. And some of you might be able to go to plank in this position. If not, just a little bit of lean back. Get a good stretch there. And slowly release, shake out your hands. And we're going to need the belt now. So come back to Virasana. You could sit in Sukhasana. Now take the belt about shoulder distance apart. And you'll bring the belt just right between the elbow and the wrist. If you have your arms out in front of you, you can sort of measure the distance that you need. And then take the arms up overhead and press out against the belt. Press out against the belt. Reach the pinky side of your arms towards the ceiling. Reach the pinky side. Pressing out against the belt the whole time. Draw low ribs in. And release. Inhale, right arm up. And then rotate. So if we were externally rotating the arm, if you bring it down in front of you, right? Inner to outer. So with the arm up, rotate externally. Just with the other hand, just feel that rotation. Release. Inhale the other arm up. Opposite hand, just feel that rotation. Leave some space for your neck. And release. Great. Now take the belt. And you're going to take the belt behind your back. In that same spot, right between the elbow, and the wrist, but up closer to the elbows. Press out against the belt and lift your arms off your back. Draw your sit bones firmly into the floor or your prop. Now, if this is too much for the shoulders, you can have the belt a little wider, right? You're going to feel some great tingling and sensation when you let the belt go. So we just let the belt slip off. Arms alongside the body. My arms feel like they're 2 inches longer. Release. Good. Great. And then we'll come up to standing. Keep your block handy. If you have some wall space, we'll come up and I'm going to just find a spot to do the dog against the wall. So I have to find a good spot here. So bring your hands to the wall, about shoulder distance apart, and the feet back. And then put the weight onto the thumb side of your hands, right? And find that external rotation with the upper arms. And press into the wall. Okay, if you need the cues again, it's like inside, you want the weight on the thumb side of the hand more than the pinky side. So you're pressing in, fingers are spread, and then roll the triceps. Roll from the inside of the arm to the outside of the arm. So roll the triceps down towards the floor. Woo! And release. Shake out your arms. We're going to do one hand at a time now. So take one hand into the wall. And I know my orientation is a little weird, but my arm is straight out from my shoulder. All right, and I'm going to just press firmly into the wall. And I want to squeeze the inside of my arm towards the outside of my arm. And for me, that hopefully that cue works for you, I can really feel the stretch in my bicep. So the other cue would be to roll the tricep down towards the floor. Release. And I have to turn my back to you to do the other side. Other side. Pressing firmly into your hand. The inside of the arm pressing into the outside. Really feel, especially a stretch through the upper bicep, the upper arm. Roll the outer arm, the tricep down towards the floor. And release. Good. All right, let's come to our mats and we'll take a wide stance on the mat. Great. Line up the back of your sacrum, the back of your head, and have your hips in line with your heels. Take a nice long inhale, and on your exhale, fold forward. Now you can have a block here to begin with. And you might bend through one leg and the other, just opening in the inner seam of the leg. You get to draw one inner seam towards the other inner seam. So shifting hips right and left a bit. So we're working with the same line in the arms as we do with the legs a lot. Then bring your hands out in front of you in like a downward facing dog orientation. Try to get more into the picture, into the view here. Right, weight on the inside of your hands. Roll the triceps down towards the floor. Squeeze the arms, so squeeze muscle to bone. And then pull yourself forward so you're in a plank position with the legs spread wide. And back. And then walk your hands back towards your waist. Press yourself up. Take the feet together. And we're going to come into extended side angle. So we'll have a block forward in the front foot, and just change my orientation here. Take a nice wide stance. Turn the front foot to line up with the long edge of your mat, and the back foot, the heel out slightly, so we have the legs set up for this posture. Great, and then inhale the front arm straight up. And feel the side waist lengthening here as you sweep forward and bring your hand to the inside of your front foot on a block. Okay, now with your palm on that block, roll the tricep, externally rotate that arm. So externally rotate that arm. That'll drive the shoulder blade in and down. It's like your hand is stuck on the block, and you're trying to, let's see, on this direction, it would be you're putting a jar lid, a big pickle jar lid on the pickle jar. So the right hand is here, and we're really trying to screw the lid on the jar. And just just to experience it, if you did the opposite, if you went the opposite way with your arm, with your hand, so internally rotating, your front shoulder would dip down. So bring that down facing arm into external rotation. Back hand is on your hip. And then inhale the back arm up. Reach over your ear and point your pinky towards the floor. So the top arm is also in external rotation. Press into the back heel, outer back heel, and feel this long line of energy from your back heel through your pinky. Eyes are soft, looking straight ahead. And then inhale, press yourself up, bring the block along with you. Turn your feet, and we'll go the opposite direction. So you can set the block down first. And you can begin with your legs straight. So nice wide stance. The block is on the inside of your front foot. That foot is lined up parallel with the long edge of your mat. Your back foot, heel turned out slightly. Inhale the front arm and just feel for length here. Length in the side waist. And then as you exhale through the front leg, you're going to come forward, bring your hand to the block, the back hand to your hip. Now, externally rotate that down arm. So now it's, I believe, taking the pickle jar lid off. So your hand is like your hand is stuck to the block, but you're trying to unscrew the lid. External rotation. Keep weight in the outer back heel. Inhale the top arm up. When it comes over your ear, pinky down towards the floor. Soft gaze. Legs are strong. Both arms are in external rotation. As you come out of this, you can inhale the top arm up, straightening through the front leg and coming up. Great. Let's bring both feet to face parallel to one another. Again, we'll take a fold here, bringing hands to the block. And either walk, jump, or heel toe the feet together, pressing up. Let's take the front of our mat into Tadasana. And inhale the arms straight up. I don't quite have that amount of space here. And exhale, take a fold. Hands to the floor. Step back, downward dog. Notice the position of your hands. Where is the weight in your hands? And then come forward, high Dandasana. Lower to your knees, drop through to the floor. Locust, palms up towards the ceiling. You could lift the legs here if you wanted. And bending elbows, bringing hands beside low ribs. Press up through table and back to downward facing dog. Great. And then we'll drop to the knees. Hips back to heels. Shake out the hands. Couple figure eights with your wrists. Okay, and we're going to go to dolphin or handstand or headstand prep. So bring your forearms together on the floor and release the pinky. All right. So elbows underneath shoulders, nice firm base. Turn the toes under. Press hips up. Pressing firmly into your forearms. Walk your feet up towards your elbows. Let your head be soft. Let your ears be soft. You can reach the heels up and take them back down here. And then we'll come to our knees. Bring our hands to our heels. And drop your forehead to the floor and round through your back. So pulling against your heels and pressing your heels into your hands and just round through your back a bit. Great, and then sitting back up, heels to hips to the heels. If you have two blocks now, you're going to take your blocks, put them out in front of you. If you had a bolster, you could use a bolster. If you didn't have two blocks or a bolster, you could use a blanket or anything just to give some height here. And I'm going to come into child's pose with my hands on the blocks. So nice to use the blocks because I can kind of position them. A little bit of space between your knees. And I want to see if I can get both forehead onto the ground and hands onto the blocks. And I'm going to really stretch the blocks out in front of me. Nice opening in the shoulders. You can also play with turning the palms up. Turning the palms up here. And if you have the palms turned up, getting your at least the 8 fingers, fingernails on the block. Maybe your thumb can stretch down there. Mine aren't anywhere close to the block, but if you have a good amount of openness in your hands, stick with it. If it's too much to have your backs of your hands down, just go back to the palms down. And you might even sort of isometrically kind of grip the block with your hands and draw like you're going to draw the blocks back. Really feel the work there. Let's go 2 more rounds of breath. And then release. Just let your arms come back softly. So I don't have mine alongside my body, but just sort of, I have them sort of by my head, elbows bent, just releasing the work in my shoulders momentarily. And then we'll press up to table one more time. And we'll thread the needle with a little vinyasa. So one arm up and exhale it through the space. Move this back and forth a few times. Just let it be pretty organic here. And then last time you come down through, resting on the side of your head, reaching bottom arm through, top arm can reach forward or rest on your sacrum. You could go for the full bind by coming back around to the opposite thigh, inside of the opposite thigh. Release, press beside the head, come on up. Take the other side. Just let it be pretty flowy and organic here. Just, you've been doing a lot of holding. The last time you come through, reach and rest your side of your head on the floor, really stretching through the back of the shoulder, getting a nice stretch. Opposite hand can stay long or rest on your sacrum. And press yourself up. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Find that the inside edges of your hands. One round of cat-cow. And then lower once again to your belly. Bring your right arm out long. Press into your left hand. Slide your right arm away. And now just a stretch on the front edge of the shoulder. You could even try stacking your feet and bringing this other arm back behind you. So you're really opening the collarbones. A little balancy here with your one wing out. Rest your head on the floor. Release back to your belly. You'll take the other side. So opposite arm slides away and you open up. Maybe you can even rest on your hip and bring that other arm back behind you. So I'm trying to get my orientation right. So the arm is straight out from your shoulder. So that's more of the orientation here. And you're resting on your hip. Maybe stack the feet or bring one foot behind the other, and then maybe that top arm can come to your sacrum. And you can rest temple, side of your head on the floor. And then roll back to your belly. Come back to elbows underneath shoulders in the Sphinx pose. Draw your tailbone down, press your pubic bone into the floor. Gaze over one shoulder. Back and over the other. Draw shoulder blades down and in. And then slowly lower to the floor and roll over onto your back. Great. From here, just arms out to a T. Feel the heaviness of your bones. Feet are on the floor, soles of the feet on the floor. Right, and then bring your arms into the goalpost position and take the same movement back and forth with the knees. But as you drop your knees to the right, reach your left elbow towards your left hip. So slide, you can have your arms in T, or you could even have your arms behind your head, a little bit more work. Slide and shorten that left side of your body, lengthening the right side of the body. So a little different than we often do. Come back to center and drop your knees to the left and slide your right elbow towards your right hip. Keep your arms as much as possible in that in the T or the goalpost position, or interlace them behind your head. Let's do one more on each side. So knees up, take your knees to the right and slide your left elbow towards your left hip. Back to center, knees to the left, slide your right elbow towards your right hip. Great. Back to center now, and bring your arms alongside your body. We'll take the robot arms to begin with. We're going to go into a bridge. So pressing into your feet, start to lift your hips, and then tuck one shoulder blade under and the other. Tuck, 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 tuck. So you can get your hands underneath your buttocks, interlace your fingers. You might have to keep tucking. Interlace your fingers, press firmly into your feet, draw your knees away from you. You can release the pinky finger here and really straighten your arms to press into this bridge. If this is too much on your shoulders, just go back to the robot arms. And then some of you, keeping the hands really clasped, almost like a fist, you're going to lower your hips right onto your hands. You're going to sit on your hands. I have to release my thumbs. I'm going to sit right on my hands. Amazing stretch here. And I'm going to press up enough to release my hands. Woo. And bring your arms now out to about 45 degrees. So you're on your back. Knees can be bent or straight. Legs can be straight if you want. But arms out 45 degrees. Great. Now bring your fingertips to your shoulder tops. So you might be a little bit wider than 45 degrees, actually. So you're not quite in the T and you're not quite in the Shavasana shape. Now, if you'd like to stretch your legs long here, you can. Now, fingertips are to your shoulders. And then with a very, very slow exhale, you're going to, actually we'll inhale first, sorry. Inhale and just bring the arms up, hands up towards the sky. And then exhale, very, very long exhale. Just lower your arms as slowly as possible. See if you can have the forearms touch first, then the wrists, then the back of your hands. Release your fingers. Bring your mind's eye to the center of your palms. And release that spot. Really soft in the middle of your hands. Bring your mind's eye to each fingertip and soften each fingertip. Release the tension around your eyes. Soften your eyelids. the skin on your face. Let everything really just melt down to the floor. Soften your hands. And then if you need to change the position of your arms for final shavasana, you can do so. And keep softening the hands. Stay as long as you like in shavasana. If you'd like to roll to one side, you can roll to one side, supporting yourself with your bottom arm or just resting in a way that feels comfortable for you. If you'd like to join me in a seat, you can do so. And just with great intention, we'll bring the hands in front of our heart center, bringing the heels of the heels of the hands together first, and then the fingertips. May the merit of our practice encourage all beings to unveil the hidden brilliance that lies within. Namaste.